So yesterday, Sophie Cunningham was talking about the Caitlin Clark injury on her podcast and when she thinks Caitlin Clark is coming back. And look, not an ideal situation. If you guys are as frustrated as I am, subscribe. We are trying to hit 56,750 subscribers as soon as possible. If we can do that by the end of the day, that would be absolutely incredible. If we can't, it is what it is. But yeah, our goal is to hit 60,000 subscribers by the end of the WNBA season. But with the way things are going, that's probably not going to happen. That's not going to happen considering the fact that the viewership is so far down without good old Caitlin Clark. But let's take a listen to what Sophie Cunningham has had to say.
I'm literally, she doesn't even know. It's just a day by day legit type of thing. And so, yeah, she's close, but you also have to remember, she could be playing if it wasn't in the WNBA by now. But at this level, with how deep and how good people are nowadays in our league, which is the best it's ever been, you can't just be good. You have to be on top of your game. And so just trying to get her back in game shape, I think, is what they're trying to do. But again, it's literally a day by day. I'm not holding out any information. I just literally, and I'm.
So we have basically got Sophie doesn't know when Caitlin's coming back, and Caitlin doesn't know when Caitlin's coming back, which is not a good sign. Which is not a good sign at all. We've seen Caitlin was not at their film session, so there's a 0% chance Caitlin plays within the next 7 days because they brought in Shea Petty on the hardship. So Caitlin's not going to be playing in the next 7 days. So that is a scary thing. And if Caitlin has not started practicing by the end of this week, Caitlin's done for the season. They literally, if she's not started practicing by Friday, which is the Lynx game, if she's not even a shoot around for that Lynx game, she's done for the season. We might as well just write it off there because they go on a 4-game West Coast road trip. She's not coming back in a West Coast road trip. And then they play 3 games to end the year against the Mystics, Sky, and Lynx. And there's a good chance they're out of the playoff hunt by then. There is a good chance that the Fever lose 6 games in a row. They got 9 games left for the season. They're probably not beating the Lynx. They're probably not beating the Lynx. They're probably not beating the Storm. They're probably not beating the Sparks. These are, by the way, these are games we know that Caitlin's not going to be playing for. They're probably not beating the Valkyries. And they're probably not beating the Phoenix Mercury. The fact is that you've got to go 2-4 in those 6 games. And I don't see where those 2 wins come from. I just don't. I don't think they go 2-4. And going, let's just say hypothetically they go 1-5. 1-5. They still then are 1 game below 500, which puts them into a situation where they have to go and win 3 games in a row to make the playoffs, which I think they can do. But it's hard to go 3 games in a row to make the playoffs when Caitlin's not there, or when Caitlin's trying to ramp her back. And if there's ever a game where they're going to lose to the Sky, it'll be trying to ramp back Caitlin with Angel Reese healthy. Because the Sky are a completely different team with Angel Reese healthy. With Angel, without Ariel Atkins, they stink. Without both of them, they really stink. They need both of them. They need both of them. I think they're both of equal importance to this team, to that team. But with both of them there, they're semi-competitive. They're a semi-competitive team. I know the score made it seem a little bit closer than it was last night, but they're a semi-competitive team with Angel Reese and Ariel Atkins. So it's not looking great. Someone said, Robin Lumber said, yes, given the nature of the fan base, they owe a better explanation of what's going on. My theory from the very start seems like it's checking out more and more. They don't have a clue what is wrong with Caitlin Clark because I don't think anything showed up on the scans. I don't think anything showed up because she got so basically, they played, if I'm right in saying they played Tuesday against the Sun, then they played Wednesday against the Liberty, and the All-Star game was the Friday. Or the All-Star 3-point contest was the Friday. She played Tuesday night, got a scan on Wednesday, and was listed as questionable for Wednesday night. Then she was listed as questionable for the All-Star game, which they announced on Thursday that she wasn't going to play. And then she continued to be listed as questionable right after that. There is a 0% chance that Caitlin Clark, they would not allow, a professional sports league would not allow a team to list a player as questionable if something showed up on her scan. That is my theory, is that whatever the hell is wrong with Caitlin Clark is not an actual muscle strain, that it is something wrong with her mechanically. Like she's putting too much pressure on one leg. The way she's running is pinching a nerve or something in her hip or in her groin. There's an overcompensation issue when she's running. Like, I don't think this is she has a groin strain. She's coming back from a groin strain. That has been my theory from the start. And the more we hear about it, the more no one seems to have a fucking clue what is wrong with her. The more it is like, we've seen her kicking a football. She was doing full court running 2 weeks ago, and now she's still doing full court running. She hasn't been able to ramp it up in 2 weeks. Like, it is either a much more serious injury than we initially were told, which I don't think you would be allowed to report her as questionable and day to day. Over a month ago, I don't think you would be allowed to do that. If the scan showed something, I just don't think that would be legal. In terms of the way injuries are reported to the league, I don't think that's something that would be allowed. So I'm convinced it is. They don't know what's wrong with her. I don't even think Caitlin might not know what's wrong with her. She's going to see all these other doctors because maybe they don't know what's wrong with her, and it's a case of they're trying to ramp her back up, but she might be fully healthy and there's still pain. And that's something that'll take. I've said it when I said it. I think Caitlin Clark, for the last number of weeks, Caitlin's probably healthy enough to play basketball. As Sophie said, if it's not the WNBA, she'd be back playing. But it's like, I think she's healthy enough to play basketball. I think the problem is that if there's something wrong mechanically, if there's something wrong with nerves, if there's something wrong with overcompensation, she's going to come back for 2 games and get hurt again. Like, that is what I think is the reality. Is that it's not that her groin injury is bad. Just like none of her other injuries are bad. I think there is something wrong mechanically that has caused all of those injuries. Because it's not weird. Other than the Seattle one where she kind of fell at the end of the game. She was holding her groin before she fell over herself at the end of that game. She tripped over her own feet like Caitlin Clark has tripped from game 1, by the way. From game 1 that we saw Caitlin Clark in that Iowa game where she was kind of jogging and she was still burning people. Even against the Atlanta Dream when she had 27. Even against the Sky when she had a 20-point triple-double. Even in the Liberty game down the stretch, Caitlin has been tripping over her feet this year. She's been tripping over herself. She's been falling all over the place. And it's not flopping. It's not like trying to draw a foul. She's just been falling out of clumsiness. Like, she's been tripping over her own feet and just hitting the deck sometimes. Like, there is something wrong with Caitlin Clark's running. And the longer this plays out and the more we're hearing news the way we are, I don't think people are actively withholding information. I legitimately think people don't know. And for that, and with that being said, I think it's an important one to sit her out as much as possible. And I think it's going to come, whether she plays or not, is going to come down to how these next few games go. If the Indiana Fever are a lock to make the playoffs, Caitlin Clark's going to play. That is my, I would be 80 to 90% sure. If the Indiana Fever are a lock to make the playoffs, Caitlin Clark is going to play. If the Indiana Fever need to win 2 of 3 games to make the playoffs to end the season, Caitlin's not going to play. And even if they scrape into the playoffs, Caitlin's not playing the playoffs. That would be my guess. Is that she will not play until that Washington game. No matter what, I don't think she's going to play until that Washington game. If the Fever are locked to make the playoffs, she's going to play. If they're in a hunt to make the playoffs, she's not going to play. Because you can't expect her to come back in if the team's in a hunt to make the playoffs. When, let's be real, even as much of a competitor as she is, Caitlin Clark has had the delusional competitor plays at 100 miles an hour, for lack of a better way to describe it, beaten out of her by her own coaches, by the other teams. That's you can see it in the way she is on the court. That's been beaten out of her. Like, there was outside of the the second half against the Dream, the Sun game where she got where she absolutely killed him. She got eye poked and knocked on her ground, and the Liberty game when she came back from injury. Caitlin is not being Caitlin. Just look at watching her play. She's not being the same feisty player. I don't know what's been coached out of her. Like, she was hyping up the crowd and got dragged back into got dragged by a coach. Like, that does anything to win Caitlin. Not that I don't think exists, but I don't think is going to exist by the 15th of October. That's just my opinion. That energy, that joy, the demon Caitlin, that person may not exist anymore. So I don't think Caitlin is going to come back to try fight them into the playoffs. I think that if they're going to be in the playoffs, Caitlin's going to come back and try to win them a championship. But I don't think Caitlin's going to risk her body, because if she comes back, if they're already in the playoffs and she comes back, she can ease her way in for 3 games and then get ready for the playoffs. I think she'll do that. But if they're in a fight and she has to immediately be all guns blazing, I don't think she's going to do that. I don't think she's going to do that. I think she has people in her ear basically saying, you know what, like, oh, this isn't a good idea. This isn't a good idea. Oh, you know, maybe you're not going to be you're not going to be right. You're not going to be playing at your best. Whereas I think if this was a year ago, Caitlin would have said, fuck that, I'm playing. But I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. I'll see you guys.